guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. I was going to cover little Dane last week, but I was really hoping he would have been found, and now we're entering week 2, so I feel like my heart just tells me I need to cover this. So I'm going to go through the timeline through one of the articles and play there was a presser. I think there was a few of them, but one of the last pressers, I think it was from either Thursday or Friday, to see the current updates in the search for this sweet 2-year-old boy. I can't imagine what his family is going through right now. Alright, so this is News Nation, and I believe this came from, I'm not sure if they completely wrote it, but I know one of the local affiliates also had this similar one up. But so this is the timeline and what we know about missing 2-year-old Dane Paulsen. And Dane Paulsen, the 2-year-old boy who disappeared from his Siletz home, is still missing. Now this article says 5 days. Today is Sunday, March 9th, so we know it is 8 days. We are going into week 2 of a 2-year-old he's just nowhere to be found. So the day of his disappearance, Dane Paulsen was first reported missing to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office on Saturday, March 1st, around 4:30 p.m. At the time of his disappearance, Dean was reported to be playing in the yard of the residence located at mile 21 on Siletz River Highway. I believe that's his front yard, from what I understand. However, authorities report that Dane had not been in his parents' eyesight at the time. Now, we're not going to blame these parents, okay, for not watching their 2-year-old, because we all know how fast little kids can go, but that's another thing. They can be gone in the blink of an eye. Obviously, he took off running. He went hiding. Whatever his little 2-year-old, bundle of energy did. And I'm sure he got out of their eyesight and, wandered off. And for all we know, he wandered off and didn't know where he was. And it just, snowballed from there. That day, he was wearing a gray, fuzzy hoodie with ears, black pants, and blue and white socks. Law enforcement later updated his description to include that he has brown hair and green eyes. Officials immediately began searching the family's residence and surrounding areas. He is such a cute little guy. I'll tell you what, guys, he is the cutest. There's some pictures of them during the search. But there's a lot of photos of volunteers, as well as law enforcement, fire, search and rescue. There's just many people out there searching for this little guy. And I'm just surprised that he hasn't been found yet. I was really hoping he would have been found by now. So then we go to day 2. Shortly after Dane's disappearance, a gold 1990 station wagon was named as a vehicle of interest by law enforcement. On March 2nd, community tips led authorities to the owner of the vehicle. After officials thoroughly interviewed and investigated both the driver and the car, they were found to be unrelated to Dane's disappearance and are no longer a point of interest in the operation, according to officials. Now, I did put, like I said, I put the posters up, so I remember seeing the car, and it was ruled out, obviously pretty quickly, because my first thought was he abducted? As soon as you hear about a car, they got to rule that out. And then with the water so close by, that's the second thing that gets on my, that was on my mind. Search efforts continued among community volunteers and local authorities, including the sheriff's offices from Lane, Clackamas, and Polk counties, Oregon State Police, Lincoln City, and Newport Police, Siletz Valley Fire, Corvallis Mountain Rescue Unit, Mary's Peak SAR, and Region 3 Canine. As search efforts intensified, law enforcement said there was, quote, no evidence to suggest criminal actions are involved, unquote. So hopefully that's not the case, but, only time's going to tell. Day 3, by Monday, March 3rd, authorities had advanced their search beyond the ground to use aerial drones with thermal imaging. At the time, officials said 382 acres have been searched and 283 miles have been covered. So already by day 3, they had covered that's a big area, as it was. Lincoln's County Sheriff's Office described little Dane as comfortable around strangers in water, but he can't swim. That's a little scary. He's a little guy. If he can't swim and he's near that water there, really puts a knot in your stomach. Jeff Lawrence, an Elks Lodge officer who fishes the Siletz River and volunteered to find Dane, told KOIN 6 News that the river is medium to where 3 days ago the river was quite a bit higher and a lot faster. So that's obviously someone who's very knowledgeable of that river. Then we go to day 4. Late Tuesday afternoon, Lincoln County Sergeant Jason Spano announced that authorities would begin concentrating on a very focused area. So far, the evidence available indicates Dane was at the river's edge before his disappearance, Spano said. Because of this, we will be focusing the majority of our ongoing resources on searching the Siletz River. He added officials would search the river with drones, divers, watercraft, and canines, plus a sign cutter, using a tracking technique to find and follow signs left behind by people or animals. I hadn't heard of that one before, so that's a new one for me. But Spano added they would continue to look on land because the thick, rough forest terrain meant it could be possible to miss locating someone. By the end of the day, now again this is day 4, officials announced that 682 acres and 341 walking miles had been covered. So again, they've been making really good ground on their searches every day. Day 5, which was last Wednesday, officials have yet to find any evidence of Dane's whereabouts. Although there is currently no evidence to suggest criminal activity in Dane's disappearance, investigators continue to review tips reported to the tip line, according to Lincoln County deputies. Yeah, everything is important. Obviously, if someone saw something, they need to call the tip line, for sure. Those who think, obviously, here we go. Those who think they may have information that could help authorities help to find Dane are encouraged to contact the tip line for Lincoln County, and that's 541-265-0669. I will put that in the information of this video as well as the poster at the end of the video. When sharing information that may help us bring Dane home, be as specific as possible. Deputies have said, note the time, exact location, and get clear photos or videos whenever possible. So that is through day 5, according to News Nation's timeline. I believe they got that from the Coin, the local network there. And again, they continue to search through day 6. And I'm going to play the presser from the sheriff's office or Lincoln County, as well as all those searching, with some of the latest updates that we had as of the end of last week.
Before I begin, I need to recognize how difficult this has been on Dane's family, especially his parents, Shamet and Aaron. The pain and tragedy that they are facing is unimaginable. Our teams and supporting agencies have been working to find Dane, and our hearts are heavy. I would also like to thank our community for your continued support and concern as we work diligently to bring Dane home. We understand the deep impact this situation has on his family and our community, and we are committed to finding answers. Despite intense search and rescue efforts in the surrounding area and waterways, as well as investigations following up on community tips, Dane has not yet been located. Our teams, search and rescue, mounted posse, and partnering agencies, as well as community volunteers, have thoroughly searched the local area. The search has utilized every tool we've been able to employ, including but not limited to additional personnel and volunteers, drones, canines, thermal imaging, night vision, watercraft, divers, and more. These tools have enabled us to cover more ground in a short time frame and have enabled us to better access hard-to-reach terrain. Lincoln County communities have shown their support by helping search, sharing official updates, reporting tips, and offering food or other accommodations to responders. Over the last 72 hours, searchers have covered over 682 acres and 341 walking miles. Over 2 river miles have been thoroughly searched by divers. At least 195 leads and tips have been investigated. This investigation is still very active and remains a priority for our team and communities. We want to bring Dane home. Our communities continue to ask for ways they can support Dane's family. Right now, they just want their son back. If you have information related to Dane's disappearance, we ask that you report it to the tip line at 541-265-0669. When sharing information that may help us bring Dane home, be as specific as possible. Note the time, exact location, and get clear photos or videos when possible. Although community volunteers are no longer officially being organized at the volunteer staging area, they may choose to continue to search for Dane on their own. We respectfully remind our community, if they are choosing to continue the search, to keep safety in mind. Avoid searching at night, and avoid private property without updated permission from the landowner. As more information becomes available, we will continue to share updates on our Flash Alert page and Facebook. Now I will invite Sheriff Shanks to share his statement.
Good evening. I am Sheriff Adam Shanks. Dane's disappearance is absolutely heartbreaking. His family is experiencing unimaginable pain. As a parent myself, my heart is broken just seeing what they are going through. Our teams and supporting agencies have held this search close to our hearts. On behalf of all responding agencies and community volunteers, I want to express sincere empathy and compassion. I would also like to recognize and thank our community for your continued support and concern as we work to locate Dane. We understand the deep impact that situation has on his family and our community. We are committed to finding answers. I want to thank our communities for doing what they do best during this search, which is coming together to support each other. Over 200 community members throughout our county, across the state, and even surrounding states have responded to help by reporting to the volunteer staging area. This effectively helped us cover the local area faster than would have otherwise been possible. Our communities also have helped by sharing official updates from our page, which helped keep others informed and on the lookout. You've also not hesitated to call in tips that might help us bring Dane home. We know this is a difficult time for Dane's family, and we are doing everything we can to bring him home. From the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of Dane's family, thank you for all you have done. However, we are not finished. I will now invite Sergeant Jason Spano to provide an update on anticipated next steps for the search of Dane.
Good evening. I am Sergeant Jason Spano. I know our entire community has been affected by Dane's disappearance, and our hearts are with his family while we work to bring him home. In addition to community members, Highly trained personnel, search canines, and specialized equipment have thoroughly covered the local area. This includes ground, water, and air searches. Based on the information from search efforts and following up on tips, we will now be concentrating on a very focused area. So far, the evidence available indicates Dane was at the river's edge before his disappearance. Because of this, we will be focusing the majority of our ongoing resources on searching the Siletz River. We are using drones, divers, watercraft, canines, and even a sign cutter to thoroughly cover the area. A sign cutter is a highly trained individual on tracking techniques that involve finding and following signs left behind by people or animals. The terrain in our overall search area includes surrounding property, forested rough terrain, the Siletz River, and riverbanks. Due to a thorough search and comprehension of these areas, search operations will now be focusing on a more concentrated area, highlighting the Siletz River. Although the land within the search area has been thoroughly combed, we cannot 100% guarantee that these areas are clear. With thick, rough terrain, it is possible to miss locating a person, especially a small child, hidden by thick brush or other visual impairments, even with specialized equipment and search canines. Official watercraft and divers are concentrating on thoroughly searching the river. We hope to bring Dane home soon. As the sheriff and Jess have both said, this search is ongoing, and we are working to bring Dane back to his family.
We will now be taking a few related questions from members of the media. Please raise your hand, wait to be called on, and state your first and last name as well as your organization.
Shelby Slaughter, KT News. We say River's Edge, which sounds very specific, but then we also say for people to call in and be as specific as possible. So is there any reason to believe that Dane may have been taken at the River's Edge?
We do not have any evidence to suggest that there was an abduction or any criminal activity in this case.
Thank you.
So there was Ingrid Oregonian. So what is the evidence that he was near the river's edge for his disappearance?
Like I said, we've used the canines and we've used sign cutter as well. There is some impressions down there, but beyond that, that's what we've got so far.
Steve Carr, Lady County leader. What's the visibility like for the divers? Is that pretty difficult for them to see things underwater?
It's difficult, but I'm being told it's 4 to 5 feet, which is relatively good for what I'm being told on the rivers.
Did you have a question?
Yes, I think you mentioned that you're not getting more now.
Yeah, we're at 72 hours now. We have not discussed when we will stop searching. As far as, we're going to go until we have decided that we've covered everything we can cover.
Looking at the square mileage covered, you said 2 miles of waterway, is that correct?
At least 2 miles of the Siletz River has been covered by divers.
And so going forward, are you going to refocus on that 2 miles or move downstream?
We would probably do a combination of both. The divers we've had a lot of support from outside agencies with the dive teams, and they have done a very good job for us, and we appreciate them. But they are, obviously it's very physically challenging to be diving in a river. The river is very fast right now. So they will be back and continue to work for us, and it's up to them and the search and rescue people. They're the experts, and they will decide what they're going to focus on.
So is the ground search finished?
No, we have not concluded the ground search, no.
Okay, and how does the scale change? I mean, it sounds like you're saying you're focusing on the river. How does that affect the ground search?
The ground search will continue. It may or may not be scaled back, but it's continuing until we have decided we've covered enough ground. But we are focusing the resources we have and the search area to the river and the river's edge as well.
Going back to your resources, just how many different agencies have been going in and out of the river, and just how many divers?
We have had 13 divers, and they span from all over the state. I will miss somebody if I name them all, but several sheriff's offices have sent dive teams to us.
Two-parter. Have you found any of Dane's clothing in your search? And two, when you say he was near the riverbank before he disappeared, was he near the riverbank by his home, or had he wandered off?
Let's see. So the first question is no, we have not found any clothing.
Okay.
The second question is he was relatively near his home, correct?
Okay.
We'll take our last question.
You said you were suspending organizing the volunteer search. This is obviously a big community interest. There's a large crowd here. What is your advice to folks who are here that want to help continue the search?
So the organization, as far as staging volunteers here at this park where we all are today, is no longer being actively maintained because there are other priorities with not priorities. There are other commitments that those volunteers have that they have to fulfill on their own. If the community chooses to continue to search on their own, again, keeping safety in mind. This is a rough forested terrain, right? The water can be dangerous. It is still very cold. Keep your own safety in mind. Do not search after dark. Again, low visibility, your basic regular awareness as far as being outdoors in the wilderness. And then a big reminder about private property. We don't have permission to be on other people's property, so keeping in mind you need permission to be there if you're searching.
What's the water temp?
This concludes our community update. Thank you again for your assistance and support throughout search efforts. For more information and updates on the search for Dane, continue to follow our Flash Alert page, which is flashalert.net/ID/LCSO.
Sorry, she asked
Thank
what the
you.
water temperature was. Do you guys know that?
Between 44 and 46 degrees.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
All right, so this is the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office's Facebook page, and that's kind of what I've been following. They mentioned another site, so I'm going to look into that and post the link that she just stated. But this is a release from yesterday at 12 p.m. I don't know if it's going to be able to be read very well on my screen here, but if not, check them out on Facebook. See if I can make this bigger for you guys. So again, this is 1 day ago. It's a media release from the sheriff's office. There in Lincoln County. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and partnering agencies are continuing search operations for Dane Paulsen. Investigators continue to follow up on informational tips alongside search efforts. Daily water searches utilizing watercraft with specialized equipment and trained personnel will continue until further notice. Some efforts focusing on the search on the river include a boat running methodical searches over long spans. In addition to searching today, and again this was yesterday, which was Saturday, this boat covered an approximate 14-mile stretch of river yesterday. So this one actually was Friday. A boat running underwater sonar and underwater drones, remotely operated vehicles with underwater cameras. Many community members are also searching the river with personal watercraft, expanding the coverage area to include the lower Siletz River. And here's how the community can help. So those that are local that want to go out there and help, share official updates found on the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office Flash Alert and Facebook page. So again, if you're not local, that's something we can all do. We can all share his posters. And again, I'm going to share one at the end of this video. And I'll put some more up in the Facebook group if you guys would like to have that as well. But continuing to keep track of their updates and sharing his picture, because getting his face out there is always very important when we have a missing child. Currently, there's no evidence to suggest criminal activity in Dane's disappearance. We still ask the public to report relevant information to the tip line, and their tip line number is 541-265-0669. To ensure investigators receive information as quickly as possible, please submit all tips to the tip line, not through Facebook. So again, if you have a tip, call that number. Do not send them messages through Facebook. When sharing information that may help us bring Dane home, be as specific as possible. Note the time, exact location, and get clear photos or videos when possible. You know how we always have our cell phones, so God forbid you see something, take photos, take videos. If community members choose to continue their search, in addition to emergency responder searches, keep these things in mind. So this would be for the locals that have been out there or want to go out there and help search on the ground. If you are choosing to search the river or riverbanks, wear a life jacket at all times. The Siletz River is cold and fast moving. See, that scares me when they said the temperature is like 44 degrees and it's a fast moving river. I mean, that's scary. I know I would not want to be in that kind of water. Please avoid areas with active searching by emergency responders or certified personnel. Do not search during the night or dark hours. Carry safety equipment such as a first aid kit, extra water and food, whistle, flashlight, etc. Dress appropriately for the weather and terrain. Wear layers, bring waterproof clothes, and sturdy shoes. Before you set out, have a safety plan in place. Let someone know exactly where you're headed and when you will return. Yeah, you could be out there searching and then you could get lost or go missing. So that's something you got to be careful of too. I mean, yeah, we're all not 2-year-olds or little kids, but God forbid something happens or you get hurt, you want to not be alone and have people know where you're going to be. Remember that private property cannot be searched without updated permission from the owner. Updates will be shared through Flash Alert and our Facebook page, which is where we're at right now, reading this update as significant updates become available. Once again, we express empathy for Dane's family. We also want to thank our community for their compassion and assistance. Our teams are working to bring Dane home. So here's some photos that they posted here. I would not want to be in that river. And these are professionals in here. These are people, these are people who know what they're doing. So definitely it's dangerous to search as well in the water. And I do pray also that they find this little guy. So here is one of the posters and all the information's on it. I know there's a number of posters from a number of great organizations out there. Just share this little guy's face. That's always the most important thing. Share his face. And I'm in Florida. You guys are all over, obviously, the country as well. If we're not local to Oregon, we can't be there in person, but we can get the word out. That's something that we can do as a community, as a caring community for these missing kids. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.